Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this morning, we got some pretty surprising and encouraging news courtesy of Elliot Friedman that the salary cap will be massively rising each of the next 3 seasons. It's currently at $88 million. It was expected to go to only like 92.5, instead 95.5. Then it's jumping around $8.5 million to 104, then another 9.5 to 13.5. Absolutely insane. Clearly, the NHL financially is in a very, very good spot. And as a result, guys that we thought were going to get decently sized deals are now going to get super mega deals. I look at it akin to like the 2016, if you're an NBA fan, that's when the salary cap really exploded for the NBA. You saw a bunch of people get paid. It resulted in some horrible deals. But yeah, NHL players are about to get big time bags. If you locked up your guys in prior seasons, you were absolutely elated at this. If you didn't, you're a little bit disappointed. But yeah, we're going to go through some of the top unrestricted and restricted free agents in 2025, 2026, 2027. And I'm going to kind of predict what I think their contract is going to be, because it has definitely risen a sizable amount compared to 24 hours ago. And let's start it off with Mikko Rantanen, the guy that was traded because Colorado Avalanche didn't want to pay him. I got to imagine that they knew that these cap numbers were going to be coming out before the general public, weeks before. But if not, you got to feel if you're the Colorado GM, you're like, oh my God, we easily should have gave Mikko Rantanen an 8-year deal at 12.5, $13 million. I think that he's going to sign for 13.5 in Carolina. I think they get something done. It's just a great spot for him. There's guys around his age that are elite players. They're going to be a high-level team for the next 5 to 8 years. So yeah, I have 13.5. If he hits the open market, I think he'd get 14. I think he'd get even 14.25 considering this cap jump. But right now I'm going to go at 13.5. Mitch Marner, 13.75. I think that Mikko Rantanen's a better player, but we've seen with Toronto Maple Leafs with their core, they get every possible set that they want. So yeah, I expect Mitch Marner to get a big time bag. Austin Matthews makes 13.25, but that's only 3 years left on it after the season. He's eventually going to get, oh my God, like 16, $17 million when he's up in 2028, I think it is. But yeah, Mitch Marner, top 20 player, arguably top 15 player in the entire NHL, 13.75 with this salary cap rising. Wouldn't be a horrendous deal by any stretch. It would be pretty solid, and he's definitely proved himself that he's a tier above William Nylander, who signed for a sizable 11.5 before this cap jump. 13.75 seems about right. Evan Bouchard, next up, 8 years, $10 million for some kind of bridge deal, which I don't know why they would bridge him. Maybe it would be like $8.5 to $9 million. He lost some money this season after the start that he had, and he has been criticized a fair amount, but I think with this cap jump, $10 million would be very good by the Edmonton Oilers to lock up their legit franchise number one defenseman. In my opinion, he's a franchise number one defenseman. And with the rising cap, $10 million is really nothing. He might honestly ask for 10.5 if he has another big time playoff run. You look at a guy like Rasmus Dahlin, I don't expect Bouchard to eclipse that, but I think he comes just below that. 8 years, $10 million. Adin Hill, this guy has definitely benefited from this cap jump, considering he's like the only elite goaltender set to hit the unrestricted market this summer. Now that Logan Thompson is signed, that's really big. I have him at 7 years, $7.25 million. This guy has consistently been a good starter, basically ever since he assumed the role as the number one in that playoff run in 2023. Whether this deal happens with Vegas or someone else, I'm not sure. But yeah, most of the top tier goaltenders that are in their late 20s are locked up at this point. So Adin Hill's going to have a lot of leverage in saying to Vegas, you either pay me or I hit the open market and I get a big time deal on the open market. I think you get 7.5, 7.75, maybe even $8 million again, considering all those guys locked up before the cap jump. I'm going to go at 7.25 if he signs in Vegas and get some serious term. Connor McDavid, moving on to the 2026 guys. I'm going to go 8 years, $15.75 million. Yes, I think he gets that much money. He really resets the market after Draisaitl gets $14 million, and he's worth it. He is definitely worth it. This would still be a team-friendly deal, in my opinion, and for the sake of the NHL, they need Connor McDavid to become the highest-paid player. I know that some people will be like, you got to care about winning. He should take a $14.25 million deal. No, he should become the highest-paid player and buy a decent amount so other guys get paid sizable amounts that we're going to talk about very soon. Yeah, he's best player in the entire NHL. He's worth, especially with this cap going up, he'll be worth 17, 18, 19, maybe even $20 million by the end of his deal. Best player in the NHL, going to get paid like the best player in the NHL. Kaprizov. If McDavid gets 15.5, Kaprizov, I have coming in at 8 years, $14.5 million. When he's healthy, unfortunately, he's hurt right now. He is a legit top 12 player in the entire NHL. Top 10, in my opinion. I think I had him like number 8 in my most recent rankings. He's a one-man offense. He is so dynamic. 55 goals, 65 assists kind of talent. Minnesota is going to have the salary cap space to obviously sign him, considering those Parise and Suter deals are coming up. He's going to get a bag. There has been rumors about him potentially leaving, so I think they're going to pay a definite premium in terms of re-signing Kirill Kaprizov. 14.25 seems about right for his price range. Jack Eichel, another 2015 draftee. I have him at 8 years, $14 million. Yes, he probably definitely could get more if he hit the open market, but Vegas is a no state income tax, although I think people do over-exaggerate that to a degree. It's not some difference between like 20% of your contract, but that definitely helps them be able to sign him at a reasonable cap hit. He's making $10 million right now. I think we all agree that is a definite steal of a deal for a top 15 player in the NHL. It started out looking like he might be a Hart candidate. He's an awesome guy. As a result, $14 million. Vegas will hopefully have the money. They might have to move out like Petrangelo's final year at $8.8 million, but they'll find a way to keep Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel's not a guy that you get rid of if you're the Vegas Golden Knights. He is the face of the franchise for sure. 8 years, $14 million. Connor Bedard. I have 8 years, $13.5 million. I think they should sign him to this on July 1st. You might not be the biggest Connor Bedard fan, but lock this guy the hell up. And again, $13.5 million, considering this cap jump is really not going to be that much. You lock him up from the ages of 21 to 29 at 13.5 by year 5 of that deal. He's probably going to be like the 20th highest paid player in the entire NHL. You see it all the time. You lock up your guys. You get it done. I think Connor Bedard has shown enough in terms of being a point per game roughly guy on such a dog shit team. You don't bridge a Connor Bedard. You don't even let him go into his 3rd season, where I assume the Chicago Blackhawks are going to be a better team, and have him potentially truly break out for a 40, 45 goal, 100 point season. And then you got to give him some kind of $15-16 million contract. You lock up Connor Bedard on July 1st, and you make him a Blackhawk for the next 8 seasons. Artemi Panarin, our first non-8-year or first long-term deal. I'm going to go 4 years, $11 million. He will be 34 years old, and he has shown a little bits of signs of slowing down this season, but he still is a 90 to 100 point guy. He's playing some of his, last year was his best season point blank period, so I don't expect him to fall off a massive cliff. If you're the New York Rangers, he is still by far your best forward on the team, and you're going to be a team that's still going to be competing at a high level with guys like Fox and Shesterkin. So lock him up. Don't give him some kind of 7-8 year deal so you keep the cap relatively low, because Fox and Shesterkin are still pretty young, as well as Lafreniere. 4 years, $11 million takes him until possible retirement at 38 years old. Makes sense for all parties involved. Kyle Connor, 8 years, $11 million. He could probably get more on the open market in 2 seasons, but Winnipeg seems to be doing a really good job at keeping their talent in-house. Now, Kyle Connor is playing so damn good this season, as well as I think next season we'll have another monster here, that I think he will have to eclipse Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck's deal by a sizable amount, and he's also going to be younger by comparison when he signs said deal. I believe 28 or 29 years old, versus those guys were 31 when their deals kicked in. But yeah, Kyle Connor has been a legit top 25 player this year, 45 and 55 kind of paces. He's been a monster. $11 million is not going to be looked at as that much money compared to what it is right now. Kyle Connor, 8 years, $11 million point blank. Jason Robertson, I'm going to go 8 years, $10.5 million. Again, similarly to Jack Eichel, get the no state income tax. And I think that Robertson is going to bounce back in a contract year next season. He's playing much better of late after coming off that foot injury. I didn't have him in my top 15. I think he's going to bounce back. I think he is going to bounce back a decent amount. And as a result, Dallas is going to lock him into this deal at the start of next season when he's playing good. And then he's hopefully going to return to form in terms of being that legit star 90 to 100 point guy. And Dallas gets themselves their star forward locked up on term at a reasonable cap hit. Logan Cooley, I signed him to an 8-year, $9 million deal on July 1st this summer, similarly to what they did with Dylan Gunther. It wasn't on July 1st, but lock him up. Lock up Logan Cooley. If you have Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley locked up at $16.1 million for their entire primes, basically, Utah is in one of the best spots in the entire NHL this season. Might hit the 70-point mark. Just such a dynamic playmaker in transition. I love Logan Cooley. He's my number 1 prospect in 2022. Don't think about it. Just lock him up. You did that with Clayton Keller. It worked out. You did that with Dylan Gunther. Looking like it's going to work out. just sign the papers. Sign the papers and get it done on July 1st. Lane Hudson, another guy, another 2022 draftee that's eligible on July 1st. You give him an 8-year deal at $8.75 million. I know that's more than what Nick Suzuki makes. I know that's more than what Cole Caulfield makes. But if this guy is going to have a 65, 70-point season this year, what's going to happen next year? And he's going to maybe be worth $9.5, $10 million. You lock him the hell up. $8.75 million in like 4 years isn't even going to be number one defenseman money based on these cap projections that we're seeing. And again, this locks him up between the ages of 22 to 30. Lock him up. I don't care if he makes more than the other guys. He is that franchise defenseman. Hopefully the Montreal Canadiens badly need $8.75 million would be looked at as a fantastic deal in relatively no time. The last guy from 2026, Dustin Wolf, another guy I think you slide across an extension on July 1st. 8 years, $7.75 million. I know that might be crazy to give a guy after one amazing season, but you look at this guy's resume in the WHL. He was the best goalie in the WHL. In the AHL, he won the goalie of the year goalie of the year twice. In the MVP in the AHL as like a 21-year-old. Yes, he's undersized, but he has dominated every single level of play. He's 22 or 23 years old. Lock him up. Lock him up if you're the Calgary Flames, especially with this cap rising. Get your franchise goaltender at an extremely, again, 7.75. I think even next season is like the 11th highest paid goalie in the entire NHL. So yeah, Dustin Wolf is already playing like a top 15 guy solely this season. Calgary Flames need to be proactive in locking up Dustin Wolf. You cannot let this guy, you cannot bridge this guy, especially considering Calgary is not even going to be competitive in the next 3 years. It makes no sense to really, competitive in the sense of actually contending over the next 3 years. It makes no sense to bridge him. Just lock him up. So when it's year 3, year 4, you have him on one of the best goalie contracts in the entire NHL. Moving on to 2027, we have Cale Makar. I think Cale Makar takes a decently team-friendly deal. I think he goes 8 years, $13.75 million. You might call me crazy for saying that, but I think Rantanen wanted his money, but they were only willing to offer him, around $12 million. I think they'll slide this across to Cale Makar. He only took a $9 million deal after the 2021 season where he should have won the Norris. If he played all games, he missed 9 games, so Adam Fox won it. But yeah, if he took that weird deal of 6 years, $9 million, I think he's going to take a really team-friendly deal for the Colorado Avalanche. He sees Nathan MacKinnon only making $12.6 million, which, can we talk about that deal? It was my number 2 deal in the entire NHL when I made my updated top 10 best contracts in the NHL. Go watch that video. It might be number 1, man. I mean, I still have the Jack Hughes, probably is number 1 because he's only making $8 million. But yeah, that Nathan MacKinnon deal, absolutely insane value. But yeah, I expect Cale Makar to kind of take a team-friendly deal, considering he did it the last time, considering Nathan MacKinnon only makes $12.6 million. Next up, Quinn Hughes. I expect him to break the bank, though. 8 years, $14.5 million. Right now, that's projecting him to be with the Vancouver Canucks, and considering Vancouver is doing no favors for him in terms of building a team and putting a competent team on the ice right now, I expect him, rightfully so, to say, pay me my goddamn money. I took that 6-year deal at $7.8 million. I didn't bet on myself then. I want to be paid out in full, $14.5 million, making him the highest paid defenseman in the entire NHL. Macklin Celebrini. I think they signed him to an 8-year deal at $13.5 million. Similarly to Connor Bedard, once this guy becomes available after next year, he's probably going to go for another point per game, maybe even more kind of season. You lock him the hell up. It might be a lot of money. He might not be a $13.5 million player when he signs that deal, but you trust the guy that you drafted first overall that was regarded as a top 5 prospect of the last decade or so. He's going to be a franchise superstar center, and franchise centers are going to be making $13 million in relatively no time. So that would age into one of the best deals in the entire NHL. Next up, Kucherov, 6 years, $12 million. He will be 33 years old when this hypothetical deal is signed. So I don't know if you go with the full 8 years, but yeah, he's shown also similarly to Artemi Panarin, but even more so, no signs of slowing down. Last year was his best year, and this year he's on pace for another 125 point season. $12 million would be a steal. For the first 3 years of this deal, that would be the 3 years where Tampa Bay probably is still contending at a high level. In the following 3 years, Hedman will be old. Hedman will be old as shit. Vasilevsky will be old as shit. They probably won't be contending. So give him some term so you can keep the cap hit relatively low. But yeah, $12 million for him. Great value. Nico Hischier, I'm going to go 8 years, $11 million. One of the better two-way centers in the entire NHL. Don't think that he'd break the bank because he's only like a 70, 75 point kind of guy. Great player. Again, great player. This would be a great deal considering he's only going to be, 27, 28 when he signs this deal. So yeah, lock up Nico Hischier at a very reasonable cap hit. They'd still have Brad only making $7.9 million, Hughes making $8 million. You lock up Hischier, you make him the highest paid player on the team, but rightfully so. And Jack Hughes is going to blow that out of the water when he eventually gets his deal in 2031. That is so goddamn far away. You give Hischier an 8x11 and you just let it age. Very good. Matvei Michkov, I'm also going to go with an 8x11 if this guy continues to develop like we think that he can. He's been struggling a little bit. Torts benched him. Maybe this won't be with the Philadelphia Flyers. Hopefully it will. But, well, not for, as an Islanders fan, I'm saying for the Philadelphia Flyers fans. But for Michkov, yeah, I still think he's going to be an absolute dynamo offensively, 90-plus point guy, 40-goal-plus guy. And I think he's going to take another step next year. And then hopefully July 1st, you lock him up to some kind of very team-friendly deal because $11 million isn't that much in the NHL nowadays. And then lastly, Kirill Marchenko getting a bag, 8 years, $9.5 million. This might honestly be higher if he stacks back-to-back amazing seasons like he is right now. But yeah, $9.5 million is like $8 million right now, and I think you would agree, or $8 million 24 hours ago, and you could agree that Marchenko, he's only 24, 25 years old. He deserves some kind of massive extension from the Columbus Blue Jackets in no time. But yeah, those are my contract projections. Which ones do you think am I absolutely crazy on? Which ones do you think that I am over and undervaluing? I just said that twice, kind of. But yeah, I'll be seeing the next one. Peace. Congrats to the NHL players and now getting massive bags.